So you might have heard of this new executive order on eliminating waste and saving taxpayer dollars by consolidating procurement. And what it says is the government spends $490 billion per year on common goods and services, and they want to return back to GSA as its original purpose. So if we go back in 1949, we'll see that GSA was established as an agency for mandatory sourcing purchases of products and services. However, from the very beginning, there was always exceptions for carve-outs, specifically those in IT. So an agency could buy for themselves. However, they had to request, "Mother, may I? Can I do it?" which typically made things longer and delayed the process by several months or more. But again, the idea had merit because they thought by centralized procurement that they would produce big buys with quantity discounts and good terms for the government. But that's not what happened. The problem was that GSA operated like a monopoly, and so as a monopoly, they were notoriously slow and indifferent in service, and so folks in other agencies generally disliked them. So in the 90s, in Release 1.0 of Reinventing Government, both GSA and the procurement officials were actually doing the buying were seen as the enemy. And eventually, the solution they came up with in the 90s was government-wide acquisitions, also known as GWACs, which we heard of today. And specifically, the was for the IT community. It was called IT Schedule 70. You might have heard of it. So, under the new system, agencies were generally free to use GSA or one of the other GWAC providers, such as NASA SOUP. Again, a lot of folks have heard of NASA SOUP before. Although the system was not perfect, a lot of program officials still believe, right, procurement officials, that it was too much procurement police. And so it is much better than it was used to be. So now, Trump's latest executive order seems to be saying or confessing that the language is not fully clear, and so we're not really sure what they're trying to do by stating this executive order. So as we can see in this chart above, with all the task orders, they're already doing a lot of GWACs and IDIQs already. However, specifically, I know we're talking about products, so let's look at the DIBs and DLA specifically, how they doing 2,000 to 5,000 solicitations every single day. So in my opinion, I don't know how we're going to take and stop that machine, that train from running, and then switching that all over under GSA. So my belief is that ultimately what's going to happen is it's going to take a year or two to even try to execute on this particular executive order. And by that time, we'll be talking about who's running up for the next administration, and it will not come to fruition. But again, those are my thoughts. You let me know what you think about it. But at the end of the day, knowing that only 5% of opportunities are solicited through SAM is why it's important to understand federal procurement and where the money is at so that you can follow the cheese.